This is my mobile miter station. As you can see, it has extendable wings for larger pieces. It's got wheels so I can roll it around the shop. And it's got this large hole in the center where I can keep scrap wood. I built this 6 or 7 years ago and it served me fairly well. The miter saw is something I use fairly often. And so when I went to go build this room, which I started about a year ago, I thought maybe I should have a permanent solution, something that's a little larger and more stable. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a brand new miter station. Make sure to hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, and you'll get notified when I post new videos. Kick things off by rough cutting the cabinet sides and stretchers with my track saw. The miter saw station is made up of 3 frameless cabinets, all built from 3/4 inch Baltic birch plywood. The center cabinet gets stretchers up top and a solid bottom, while the 2 side cabinets get stretchers on both the top and bottom. Using a track saw here makes breaking down full sheets way more controlled and a lot safer than wrestling plywood on the table saw. All of my rough cuts are oversized by about 1/4 inch in both directions. Once everything's manageable, I head to the table saw for final dimensions. This extra step takes more time, but it gives me dead straight cuts and clean, crisp edges. It's a little tedious, but the finished result is worth it. There are about 1,001 ways to put cabinets together. One of those ways seems to be one of them controversial topics on the internet, and that's pocket holes. I'm using pocket holes on this build just because I need a little bit of flexibility. They're easy to build with. I am going to put some glue on most of the components with the screws. That middle cabinet that I'm building for the saw bed needs to be adjustable so that in the future, if I ever get another saw or repurpose that cabinet, I can move this up or down. Probably down because there is no up. By the way, you can use this with a vacuum attachment or a dust collector. I just don't have the right attachment yet. It did come with the one that fits in here, but my vacuum hose is a little too small. This is a cool jig. I'll put a link in the description. Next up is edge banding on the front of the cabinet boxes. This was actually my first time doing it, and honestly, it's pretty straightforward. Line it up, hit it with an iron, and move on to the next piece. I tested a few ways to trim the ends, and surprisingly, wire cutters gave me the cleanest cut. After that, I used an edge banding trimmer and a quick sanding to clean everything up. With that done, it's time for cabinet assembly. I'm using a pocket hole clamp here, which really helps keep everything locked in place while I fasten the parts together. Getting everything perfectly aligned still takes patience, but that's the key to a cabinet that's square and solid. Here I'm installing drawer slides. These are full extension ball bearing slides, and the drawers will end up around 22 by 27 inches. To keep things consistent, I made simple spacer blocks out of scrap plywood to position the slides exactly where they need to be. For the finish, I'm using Natura One Coat Hard Wax Oil in a natural mist finish. I wipe it on with a non-scratch scouring pad, then use a rag to remove the excess. It's an easy, forgiving finish, and it really brings out the plywood without overcomplicating the process. One thing I haven't talked about yet is the bases for my cabinets. I didn't cut in the traditional toe kick into the side of the cabinets themselves. I'm using a detached cabinet, and these seem to be pretty popular right now. Although the ones I've seen, they usually build one big long one for multiple cabinets. I opted to make one per cabinet just so that I have some mobility in the future if I want to, say, detach some of the cabinets and move them around. I always have a base for them. And what I'm going to do is screw the three I have together and level them all at one time. And I can use some shims and stuff to get them level. These are really simple construction, just 3/4 inch plywood, and they're 3.5 inches tall, and they use pocket holes and glue. And the 3.5 inches was kind of an arbitrary number. I know you can go 3.5, 4 inches, even up to like 5 inches, I think I've seen. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do. The 3.5 inches actually gets me right above my baseboard, and I didn't want to tear out baseboard to do this project. So these will work perfect. On the next video, I'll be working on drawers, drawer faces and doors, and finally the top. You're not going to want to miss that. So make sure you're subscribed so you get notified of the next video. And until then, I'll see you later.